The city air, usually a symphony of honking taxis and distant sirens, hummed with an unfamiliar quiet as I parked the company sedan. It was Tuesday mid-morning, and I was miles from the polished glass and steel of Sterling & Sons, my real estate firm. No bespoke suit today. Just scuffed leather boots, my most comfortable pair of faded jeans. It's a clipboard clutched in a hand that usually cradled a Mont Blanc pen. This property, a brownstone on the edge of the historic district, was our latest acquisition. The kind that screamed potential but whispered money pit. My job was to assess the damage, not to charm tenants. I took a deep breath, the scent of damp earth and old brick filling my lungs, and walked up the cracked flagstone path. I knocked. A faint thud. Then another. Silence. I tried again. A little louder this time. The door, a peeling sage. Green finally creaked open. There she stood, framed by the dim light of the entryway, a wild, untamed creature in a faded gray hoodie, strings dangling. Her hair, a tornado of auburn, was wrestled into a messy bun that defied gravity. One hand gripped a wrench like a medieval weapon. The other, a trio of what looked suspiciously like broken dreams or maybe just a ceramic mug. A crumpled paper and a half-eaten granola bar. Her eyes, the color of stormy seas, narrowed. "You're late," she grumbled, her voice. A low, gravelly rumble, like thunder, rolling in from a distance. "I called 3 hours ago. This sink isn't going to unflood itself, you know." I blinked. My clipboard felt suddenly heavy. "Excuse me?" she gestured wildly. "With the wrench?" "The plumber. You're the plumber, right? It's Kevin from Pipes and Plungers. We never choke." She squinted at my attire, or lack thereof. "You don't look much like a plumber. Where's your uniform? Your butt crack?" A chuckle escaped me, surprising even myself. The absurdity of it. Me, a Sterling, mistaken for a plumber. And the butt crack comment? Priceless. "No, I'm not Kevin from Pipes and Plungers. And my butt crack, thankfully, is well concealed." I paused, a mischievous grin tugging at my lips. This was too good to pass up. "But I am here about a plumbing issue." I gestured vaguely at the house. "A very serious one, I hear." Her eyes widened, then narrowed again, a flicker of suspicion. "You're not from the city, are you, building inspector?" "Something like that," I said smoothly, stepping inside. The air was thick with the scent of old wood, dust, and something vaguely metallic. "Just here, too." "Assess the situation," she sighed, a dramatic exhalation that ruffled a few stray strands of hair around her face. "Fine, just try not to make it worse. The last guy made it worse." She turned, leading me through a cluttered living room filled with towering stacks of books and what looked like a half-finished sculpture made of twisted metal. "It's the kitchen, the sink. It's been a nightmare." The kitchen was, indeed, a nightmare. Water pooled on the worn linoleum floor, reflecting the single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. The sink, a stained porcelain relic, gurgled ominously. She pointed with the wrench. "See? It just glugged, and then sploosh. And now it's like a swamp monster lives under there." I knelt, pretending to examine the pipes. They looked ancient and corroded. Definitely not a simple clog. Right, the glug and sploosh. Classic. "Have you tried hitting it?" I tapped a pipe gently with my knuckle. Clink. She snorted, a sharp, disbelieving sound. "Oh, brilliant. You're a regular MacGyver, aren't you? I tried hitting it, tried yelling at it. I even sang it a lullaby. Nothing." Leaned against the counter, arms crossed, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Go on, Mr. Plumber. At a plumber. Show me your technique." I straightened up, feeling a blush creep up my neck. Her sarcasm was cutting, but her eyes held a playful spark. "Well, sometimes it's about the applied force, the strategic thwack." I picked up the wrench she'd dropped, and with a flourish gave the pipe a slightly harder tap. Flack. Suddenly, the pipe burst. A jet of water, cold and dirty, shot out, drenching me from head to toe. I yelped, stumbling back, tripping over a bucket and landing with a thud on the wet floor. She stared, her mouth agape. Then a small giggle escaped. a sound like wind chimes. It quickly escalated into full-blown laughter, a rich, unrestrained peal that filled the small kitchen. Her shoulders shook, her head thrown back, a genuine joyful sound. Ha 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 ha, oh my God. You broke it even more. Oh, that's just wheeze. Perfect. I sat there, dripping, feeling utterly ridiculous. But as her laughter echoed, something shifted. Her raw, uninhibited joy was infectious. A small smile touched my lips, then grew into a genuine grin. All right, laugh it up. At least I provided some entertainment. Entertainment? You provided a new fountain, she managed between gasps of laughter. Here, let me help you up, Mr. Fountain Maker. She extended a hand, her fingers surprisingly strong as she pulled me to my feet. You're soaked. Do you, need a towel? Or a new career? A towel would be great, I said, wiping water from my face. And maybe a coffee, for my troubles. She raised an eyebrow, a teasing glint in her eye. Coffee, huh? You really are pushing your luck, aren't you, Plumber? But she turned, rummaging in a cupboard. Fine, but you're drying the floor. My name's Iris, by the way. Callum, I replied, taking the offered slightly damp dishcloth. Nice to meet you, Iris. Even if I did just flood your kitchen. We spent the next hour talking, not about pipes or properties, but about everything and nothing. She told me about her art. The twisted metal sculptures were her passion, a way to express the beautiful chaos she saw in the world. She taught art classes at a local community center, struggling to make ends meet. I found myself telling her about my own frustrations with the corporate world, the endless meetings, and the soulless transactions. I omitted the part about owning the building, of course. That could wait. For now, it was just Callum, the incompetent plumber, and Iris, the chaotic artist. So you're saying you actually like making metal squirrels? I asked, stirring my coffee, which was surprisingly good, strong and dark like her eyes. They're not squirrels, Callum. They're urban fauna, symbolic of the struggle between nature and industry. She deadpanned, then burst into a soft, melodic laugh. Okay, fine, they're squirrels. But they're art squirrels. What about you, Mr. Plumber? Tss, your deepest, darkest passion. Unclogging toilets with your bare hands? Tempting, I mused. But no, I like building things. Seeing something come to life from an idea, creating spaces. It wasn't a lie, just a very selective truth. So you're a carpenter, a contractor, a secret architect? She challenged, leaning forward, her chin resting on her hand. Her messy bun had started to unravel, a few strands falling across her forehead. I resisted the urge to reach out and tuck them behind her ear. Something like that, I repeated, a familiar refrain. The conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by easy laughter and comfortable silences. I found myself captivated by her animated gestures, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her art, and the fierce passion that vibrated beneath. Her disheveled exterior, the thought of telling her the truth, of shattering this fragile, funny connection, felt increasingly unappealing. I'd tell her, later, when the time was right. The knock on the door jolted us. A loud, insistent rap. Iris frowned. Who could that be? I felt a sudden, cold dread. My stomach dropped. I knew who it was, the real plumber. She opened the door, standing there clipboard. In hand, a tool belt slung low, was a burly man in a crisp blue uniform. His name tag read, Kevin Pipes and Plungers. He looked at me, then at Iris, then back at me, a confused frown on his face. Hi there, ma'am, Kevin said, his voice booming. Kevin from Pipes and Plungers, you called about a burst pipe? Some guy said he was already here, but I figured I'd come check it out anyway. Looks like you got company, he gestured. At me, Iris's eyes, which had been bright and lively moments before, darkened. Her gaze slowly, deliberately turned to me. The playful spark was gone, replaced by a cold, hard glare. You're not the plumber. Her voice was dangerously quiet. Iris, I can explain. I started standing up, my hands out in a placating gesture. Explain what? That you lied to me? That you let me believe you were here? To fix my sink when you just... What? Wanted to poke around? Laugh at my broken pipe? Her voice rose, tinged with a raw, wounded anger. You just let me go on, making a fool of myself, thinking you were some clumsy, charming plumber. I didn't mean to deceive you, I insisted, taking a step closer. It just happened. And then we started talking, and I didn't want to ruin it. Ruin what, Callum? It's the grand joke you were playing on? The messy artist with the leaky sink? She spun away, her back to me. Get out, both of you. Just get out. Her voice was tight with humiliation. Kevin, sensing the tension, cleared his throat awkwardly.
Ma'am.
Just fix the pipe real quick. No, she snapped, turning back, her eyes blazing. I don't want either of you here. Let's go. My heart ached. I'd messed up badly. Iris, please, let me just go. She screamed, a raw guttural sound that echoed through the house. Just go. I nodded. Defeated, all right? I'm sorry, Iris. I walked past Kevin, who looked utterly bewildered, and out the door. The city air felt colder now, the silence oppressive. 2 days later, I was back. Not in my company car, not in my suit. I drove my old pickup, the one I used for weekend projects. In the back, a shiny new toolbox. I'd spent the last 48 hours replaying her furious face, her wounded eyes. I knew I hadn't handled it well. I also knew I couldn't just walk away. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Finally, the door cracked open. Iris peered out, her eyes still wary, but a flicker of surprise crossed her face when she saw me. What do you want? She asked, her voice flat. I held up the toolbox. I came to apologize. Properly. And to fix your sink. For real this time? She eyed the toolbox, then me. A long, silent moment stretched between us. You're not going to try and buy the place out from under me, are you? So I'm still here and I'm not leaving. I said softly, I'm not. I'm just here to fix the sink. And maybe, if you'll let me, to try and earn back a tiny piece of whatever trust I broke. She hesitated, then sighed, a sound of weary resignation. Fine, but if you make it worse again, I'm using that wrench on you. She opened the door wider. I walked in the toolbox, feeling heavy but purposeful. I spent the next hour under her sink, replacing the rusted pipes, tightening connections, and making sure everything was sealed and sound. The rhythmic clink and clank of tools filled the quiet kitchen. She watched me from the doorway, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Finally, I straightened up, wiping grease from my hands. All right, try it, she walked over and turned the faucet. Water flowed, clean and clear, without a single glug or sploosh. She watched it for a long moment, then looked at me. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. Well, it works. I'm really sorry, Iris, I said again, meeting her gaze. I shouldn't have lied, it was stupid, I just liked talking to you. I didn't want to be the guy from the real estate company. The one who was here to measure the walls and calculate the profit margins. I just wanted to be Callum. She looked away, then back at me. It was a pretty big lie, Callum. I know, and I'll work to make it up to you, if you'll let me. Another long silence. Then she nodded slowly. Fine, but you owe me a new coffee. And this time, no bursting pipes. That was the beginning. We started seeing each other, quietly. No labels. We met for coffee, for walks in the park, and for late-night talks on her porch swing. I helped her with her sculptures, holding pieces in place while she welded, my fingers brushing against hers, sending shivers down my arm. She came to my small apartment, a stark contrast to her cluttered brownstone, and somehow made it feel warmer with her presence. One rainy evening, curled on her worn sofa, the scent of old books and her familiar, comforting presence surrounding me, she finally opened up. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, as she spoke of a past heartbreak. A man who had promised her the world and then vanished, leaving her with nothing but shattered dreams and a mountain of debt. He said he loved me, she murmured, her gaze fixed on the flickering candlelight. He said he saw a future. And then, poof. He just disappeared, like a bad magic trick. A dry, humorless laugh escaped her. Left me with a broken heart and a broken lease. I had to start over, completely. That's why I'm so careful. I listened, my hand finding hers, my thumb tracing the back of her knuckles. I didn't offer platitudes. I just listened, holding her hand, letting her words wash over me. Her vulnerability was a sacred thing, and I cherished it. I told her about my own past, the quiet ache of a family that valued success over connection, the constant pressure to be more and do more. We found solace in each other's quiet wounds. We were falling. I knew I was. Every touch, every shared glance, every late-night conversation pulled me deeper. I saw it in her eyes, too. The way they softened when she looked at me. The way she leaned into my touch, and the way her laughter came more easily and more freely. She was falling. And I was already there, tumbling head over heels. One crisp autumn morning, after a night spent tangled together, the city waking up outside her window, she pulled away, a sudden stiffness in her posture. "This was supposed to be simple," she said, her voice flat, devoid of emotion. Her walls, I realized, were back up, higher and thicker than ever. I propped myself on my elbow, looking at her, my heart sinking. Simple. What was simple, Iris? She wouldn't meet my gaze. This, us. Just two people. No complications. No expectations. I don't know what you mean, Iris. I thought we were building something real. She finally looked at me, her eyes clouded. Real is messy, Callum. Real is complicated. It's complicated right now. I can't. Her voice cracked on the last word. I can't. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. My chest tightened, a dull ache spreading through me. I understood. I truly did. Her past had carved deep scars, and she was terrified of reopening them. I could fight, I could beg, or I could try to convince her. But I knew it would only push her further away. She needed space. She needed to feel safe. And right now, I was the one making her feel unsafe. I swallowed hard, the words catching in my throat. "Okay," I said, my voice hoarse. "Okay, Iris, if that's what you need." I slid out of bed, gathering my clothes. I dressed slowly, my back to her, the silence deafening. I wanted to turn, to plead, to tell her how much she meant to me, but I didn't. I respected her boundaries, even if it ripped me apart. I turned at the door. She was still sitting there, wrapped in the sheet, her face buried in her hands. "I'm here, Iris," I said softly. "If you ever change your mind, I'll be here." Then I walked away. No drama, no begging, just a quiet, respectful departure. The hardest thing I'd ever done. Weeks passed. The city lights blurred into a lonely haze. I buried myself in work, the polished floors of Sterling and Sons a stark reminder of the life I'd tried to escape, the life that now felt utterly meaningless without her. Every property I assessed, every deal I closed, felt hollow. I missed her laughter, her messy bun, the scent of her, and the way she looked at me. I missed the chaos of her brownstone, the comfort of her presence. One dreary afternoon, the kind where the sky hung low and gray, I was in my office, staring blankly at a spreadsheet. A discreet knock on my door. My assistant poked her head in. "Mr. Sterling, you have a visitor. She says it's urgent." My heart gave a lurch. I knew. I knew before I even saw her. She stood in the doorway, framed by the muted light of the hallway. Her hair, usually a wild tempest, was brushed and tamed into a sleek, elegant style that framed her face. She wore a simple, dark dress that somehow made her look both sophisticated and vulnerable. But it was her eyes that held me captive. Stormy, yes, but now filled with a raw, desperate hope. She clutched something in her hand. A small, twisted metal sculpture. A squirrel, an urban fauna, symbolic of the struggle between nature and industry. "Callum," she said, her voice a little shaky. I made you something." She held out the metal squirrel. "And I'm sorry for everything. For being scared. For pushing you away." Her voice trembled. "Missed you so much." My chest swelled, a wave of emotion washing over me. I stood walking around my desk, my gaze fixed on her. "Iris." "I don't want simple, Callum," she continued, stepping closer, her voice gaining strength. I want real. All of it. The messy, complicated, beautiful real. She took a deep breath. I'm falling, Callum, and I'm terrified. I'm willing to be terrified with you. A wide, genuine smile spread across my face. I reached into my pocket, pulling out a small, heavy object. Not a key to the brownstone, not a key to my apartment. It was a single, gleaming house key, attached to a small, silver keyring. It was the key to a small, two-bedroom cottage I'd been renovating on the outskirts of the city. A place I'd bought months ago, a place I'd started to think of as ours. I took her hand, the metal squirrel cool against my palm, and placed the key in it. This isn't to the house you're renting, Iris, and it's not to my apartment. It's to somewhere new, somewhere we can make our own, somewhere we can be messy and complicated and real. Together, her eyes widened, glistening. A single tear tracked a path down her cheek. She looked from the key to my face, then back to the key, her fingers trembling as she closed them around it. Callum, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. I pulled her into my arms, holding her tightly, feeling the familiar comfort of her body against mine. She buried her face in my shoulder, a soft, choked sob escaping her. I held her, stroking her hair, the scent of her, clean and fresh, filling my senses. There were no more words needed. Just the quiet understanding, the shared breath, the beating of two hearts finally, irrevocably entwined.